Hit the core against Parkas on drugs. Let's go, everybody. The Underdog Cup continues. We have our next best of 3 series here in the elimination round before we're heading into the actual bracket. On the left side of map number 1 in the best of 3, we got Hit the Core. Infamous, obviously, because of their recent match on the channel, unrelated to the Underdog Cup, where it turned out that hitting the core was an ingenious strategy to win the video game. Bukio on Lunara, we got Kara on Falstad, Sparkman is playing Leoric, Silver Jojo on Rhaegar, and Isnes on Mirrodin. Over on the right side, Parkas on Drugs in red with King Solomon on Anduin. We got Migo on Blaze, Bam on Mephisto, Ya on Diablo, and Alpaca on Zagara. So apparently we kind of know which Alpaca is on Drugs, at least who is supposed to be. A couple of changes when we're talking about the builds. Wait a second, maybe, okay. Mirrodin gets out, Diablo gets saved from the looks of it. Gets another heal, and nobody dies in the brawl in the middle. But taking a look at the level 1 talents, we can immediately see that, for example, Dishonorably Discharge has now been taken over the Frequent Flyer for Falstad. Not really the typical choice, but we've seen it. So a different pinnacle quest that is now used on Falstad's side. Soon to be renamed into Mythic quests. Mythical? One of the two. I'm not quite sure which one, honestly. But yeah, so this is all casted without the draft because I'm casting these from replays. I've been out for a week. It was absolutely insane. I got sick on Sunday evening and then tried to cast a little bit of the Sunday matches live. Basically bailed out after the first series and then continued to be sick for an entire week. And I'm still not 100% to be honest, so we'll see if I make it to the replay here. But yeah, utterly insane. Not quite sure. Oh, Mirrodin, hello, and he makes it. Nice. So still nobody dying here, but the blue team walking away with the camp. So yeah, I'm still not 100% sure what I actually had. If it was just like your typical flu and it hit me especially hard, or if it was just a COVID strain, like no idea, I didn't get any tests or anything. I honestly thought in the first 1 or 2 days that it wouldn't last long and I would be fine, and boy was I wrong. Sucks a lot, especially for the training and the progress, but hey, we'll see. 1 week out, so there's that. Then again, now feeling slowly a little bit better, and that means we're gonna go back to some casting. Now, once again, keep in mind that we have in total 16 teams that signed up for the event, so we have in our first round 8 matches. Actually, it's 7 matches now, because one team actually bailed out. They couldn't make the times from what I know. And so we are soon down to 8 teams. Then we're going into the bracket phase, the double elimination system. And that's where the real fun begins. So this is basically just the qualifying round. And Hit the Core would love to go to the main show. They're coming in with a kill on Diablo. Isnes jumping out once again alive. Yeah, they did a great job recently in the games that we took from them. And Isnes is getting mega aggressive here, but the Blaze stun might just cause some fatalities on the blue team after all, and no way. They actually got out? What? How many hit points did Falstad have? What was that, 8? The camp is taken by the red team, but then we see that jet propulsion, and that was honestly the moment where I thought, okay, now it's just over. But yeah, Falstad down to 7 HP, I think. Absolutely bonkers. Rhaegar also a bit low here, but they're making it as they're going for the camp. So this is all going to travel through the top lane. We're going to have the main aggression then over at the shrine in between the middle and the bot lane. But already some pretty dicey moments here for both teams. Migo also barely escaping, able to dash away before Leoric can finish the job. The rest of the team is already active on the Frozen Punisher. Diablo jumping in and just bullying Mirrodin around a bit, who is able to jump out here. But the blue team isn't ready yet, and the opponent has already pulled ahead. So the Parkas, they seem to be on some pretty decent kind of drugs here, because they're absolutely dialed in at this point. Right now, the move for Leoric, they're trying to take him down. Stopping the jet propulsion here with one man. Sparkman also, I was about to say gets out, but no! Mephisto comes in and gets the kill. And this looks very much like we're going to see this successful push for the Parkas on the objective. Now the downside is that at the top the camp has been escorted into, well, into the wall and has done some damage. But let's be honest about it, not really enough to compensate for what's most likely going to happen at the bottom of the map. Level 7 talents already available for Hit the Core. They are heavily ahead in experience, so it should make it easier for them to defend here. We got them with 17 stacks now also on the side of Falstad, who has of course continued to simply spec into the Lightning Rod. Rhaegar gets murdered. That's kill number 2 for the Parkas. And they destroyed the entire wall. Got some damage in on the fort as well. Might overstay their welcome though, but on the other hand, Falstad is a bit too far out. Gets caught by Diablo, but makes it. 19 stacks for the birdie at this point in time. So one more and he's starting to increase the damage output here, which is going to help him quite reliably. We have Mirrodin in the meantime with Given the Axe. Blizzard obviously recently released new patch notes, balance test patch server. Nothing that's on the live server just yet, but basically they are extending, as we already expected, the entire Pinnacle Quest idea. They're rebranding them into Mythical Quests instead of Pinnacle Quests to make it a little bit more World of Warcraft-y. And yeah, they are really YOLOing them out left and right. And some of them are absolutely wild. Like Mirrodin is one, if he completes it, his Stormbolt range gets basically increased by 100%. So it's absolutely nuts what can happen with some of these. I'm not quite sure if everything is going to make it onto the live server. But the Janitor has a lot of fun recently with some of the ideas that he's bringing in. So more patches coming. Not quite sure when that's going to hit the live server, but it's probably going to take a while. Might be ready for the Nations Cup on the other hand. So this is going to get exciting. For the Nations Cup, we might even have more Pinnacle rewards, more Mythical rewards in play, and some changed heroes as well. So yeah, lots of stuff coming this year apparently. Not only the Nations Cup that I just mentioned, which of course still has open sign-ups in case you weren't aware of it. $10,000 of prize money, and it's going to be absolutely epic. More infos in the description if you watch this on YouTube, so check it out there. Big fights now happening, obviously, over the middle, but not for much longer, because level 10 abilities are going to be ready for only one of the teams in the moment, and that is the blue team. Hit the core! And this is going to allow them to be pretty aggressive on structures or the next objective. Bambi with a leaping strike, able to jump out here. They wanted to go for Wookiee and couldn't quite get him. Okay, this is like my budget Wookiee. But they're still trying to go for at least Diablo, and yeah, it doesn't look like they can. The Haymaker play for Mirrodin a second ago was just not enough to isolate him properly. And Wookiee is a little bit low, so is Kara. I gotta be honest, the entire blue team, the entire history of this game was them escaping with less HP than they should be able to walk away with. So it's kind of wild. Rhaegar with the safe Ancestral, blocking Diablo, but Lunara, oh my god, a little bit too aggressive, and then she gets murdered by Diablo as she gets fully barbecued. That's some nice venison right there, and I'm absolutely here for it. So yes, fantastic. So, all the way up at the top, Leoric still pushing, still making work. And, well, down at the bottom of the map, we're still having the rest of the blue team also getting ready for the shrine, because this time it is spawning in the mid lane. Both of the teams with level 10 abilities by now. The red team has been able to catch up, but of course they are a bit late to the party, as we already have a couple of players for the blue team trying to do their thing here. Mephisto is one of the biggest damage dealers right now. It's just moving in straight away. Is currently sitting at 22,000 damage. Below Zagara though, who's at 27,000. So Alpaca really delivering on Zagara thus far. And taking advantage, of course, of these shrine fights too. Lots of creep spread at the same time. Nice gas, but Falstad still gets killed. Once again, it's the Parkas that are taking the lead on the shrine, at least in the fight itself. And now they're also about to take over on the shrine minions. Sparkman trying to get away here and gets slowed down and then murdered a moment later. Kill number 5 for the Parkas, and Hit the Core is having some serious trouble here. We haven't seen a single fort fall yet, so all of the forts are still in play. 5 kills to 1 currently. There's action still around the middle with now... I'm not actually quite sure if they are going to be able to take the first fort out. They might be able to pull that off, but they should be there in full defense in just a moment. We have Leo against Blaze up at the top, but everybody else is currently ready for this. And with Lunara, you have a pretty decent tool here. Falstad is not getting too many stacks, which is a bit of an issue. He's only at 25 right now. He should definitely be farther in. But yeah, they're getting fully forced back by Diablo on the Lightning Breath. And then the red team just comes in with minion waves and Spire buff already triggered on them. and burns that thing down with ease. So fort number 1 is gone. 5 kills to 1 now. Quick attack against Muradin, who showed at the top there, but yeah. Muradin's idea was obviously to move into a good position for a Haymaker. Is still trying to do the same thing here, but it's not really working out for him. It's all going to be much oh, nice Entomb actually! Maybe a little bit too early, but the Entomb was nice. The problem is the fight that they forced, they couldn't quite win it. They're losing one of their heroes pretty much instantly. Lunara is gone. At least they get the counter kill on Zagara, but they need to do more than that. It was a pretty sweet move by Leoric to come in and not try to trap anybody, but simply block their path of retreat. So that was nicely done. Problem still is that they didn't really get a whole lot out of it. They got a kill, but they also suffered a loss. Now they're trying to go for Diablo to make up for it and take the lead. And it is Anduin, as usual, who just ruins the play. Nice jet propulsion on the counter, though. 13 versus 13. Lead for the red team now. Not in experience, but at least in structures. And passive XP should soon help them, too. Now, in addition to that, we now have also charged up for Falstad, so this is going to help him as well. But right now, the situation as is getting a little bit better, I would say, for the blue team. They are finally in a situation where Falstad is a little bit less vulnerable, where he builds up a few more stacks. He's going to get very nice damage also on the final one here, of course, but, oh, sorry, on the next one. But we also have the cooldown reduction at 45, so another 10, and he is definitely going to be a lot more impactful in these battles than he was previously. Blaze gets taken out at the top lane, solo by Leo. Damn. Nice moves by Sparkman, and that obviously exposes the fort fully. Next minion wave is soon coming. It doesn't really seem like anybody else from the red team is rotating up, because everybody is busy down here at the bottom of the map. So with the Inspire buff, he should be able to do a lot. The Maw, on the other hand, nice gust. Fantastic gust by Falstad to make sure that there's no follow-up possible. That really saves them there. Leo has tons and tons of time at the top lane to deal with the fort. Might not be able to take the entire thing out, but he is dropping it low. And all of that after a solo kill against Blaze. So fantastic for him. The push at the bottom of the map, on the other hand, results in the red team taking another fort out. So that is the second one that has now been destroyed. Top side, Leo is now up against Migo again. But there is still a bit of a lead in the experience for them. But very well done here by Leoric for sure. Now it's going to take him some time to really break through this entire thing, but at least there was a step into the right direction. Muradin still trying to keep the creep spread also at bay. Zagara been doing a generally decent job throughout the game, trying to deal with vision on the map, but gets consistently shut down here. Leo still able to get away. Would not even tap the fountain here. Might have just been easier to hearth back real quickly. Well, actually no, he has to stay at the top one way or another for the next couple of waves. Nobody should really take over for that, so yep, he's going to escort this through just a little bit. Might stay a bit longer in an attempt to get that fort, and from the looks of it, this is exactly what we're getting. Nope. Moves down towards the middle. They decide that they need to fight for the objective first. Falstad could have taken over, I suppose, and then stayed one minion wave longer before he flies down. But currently we have a level 16 talent already available for Hit the Core, who now went into the Airy Gust here on level 16 for a little bit more cooldown reduction too. And Falstad is right now at 38 stacks, so this fight should also help him a lot with getting some additional ones here. We already have Isnes right in the thick of things. 25 stacks for the blue team. Hit the core, gets hit hard, but a good Ancestral this time from Rhaegar. Keeps Falstad in play. 6 kills to 3, but the red team is already starting to slowly take over on the shrine again. So the blue team has to try and fight their way back into it. They're dropping Blaze. Nice. Blaze down. Leoric falls too, but the Entomb is out, traps Zagara that they're trying to go for, and Muradin was ready with a Haymaker. Instantly Lunara trying to follow it up with a kill, but can't, since the Maw from Zagara comes through. The red team is so far behind on the objective though, and it results in Hit the Core claiming the Punisher. Falstad survives with 44 stacks at this point in time. They're jumping in on Diablo, trying to move in over here for a few more kills, and they get Diablo too. And that puts Falstad now very comfortably into a... Oh my god, Muradin. No hit points whatsoever. That puts Falstad comfortably into a position where he now finally has the second quest reward, so now the cooldown reduction is right there, and in addition to that, we have even more damage for the birdie. So Kara is going to be quite happy about this. We got 5 kills to 7, Leo is back up at the top, but the team still hasn't really taken out any structures. We have them trying to do a lot of damage here when they have the opportunity, but we're now 40 minutes into the game. They lost 2 of their forts. Obviously, a lot of passive experience increase for the red team as a result. And the blue team just can't get anywhere with structures. If you're looking at the difference here, the minion experience in particular, this is where the blue team can definitely pull ahead. But in passive experience, they're losing out, and it's because they've lost forts and they themselves haven't been able to make up for that in any way, shape, or form. So, it's a little bit of a problem. You have 5 kills against 7 now. Last couple of fights have definitely done better, but they need to get a bit more done here. And Leo at the top is once again leading the charge, comes in, takes the fort out. Sparkman the entire game with a really good performance in the solo lane as the 4 versus 4 at the bot lane just continues. Leo, by the way, the top damage dealer for the blue team too, with 48,000, which is absolutely crazy. So, yeah, they're trying to go for Blaze. And I'm not quite sure if they get the kill here. Murder is currently waiting for a chance. And Blaze moves out towards the bottom. They still were able to trap a few of them, though. King Solomon is in the corner. Anduin is low. Mirrodin goes down, but they get the double kill against them. Lunara, though, falls a second later. Then Mephisto gets murdered. Kara, with 9 hit points alive, turns around, tries to get the kill on Zagara. What a slaughter. What a bloodbath in the middle. 10 kills to 8, 3 down on each side. 64,000 now for Zagara. And we got Leoric with 55,000 himself. Falstad is at 46,000, so he's starting to really catch up here. The blue team still in the lead in experience, which of course results in them also hitting level 20 faster. At least they should, given where we are right now. But damn, this is quite the opening game in the best of 3 series. And again, all of this is happening to qualify for the double elimination bracket phase of the Underdog Cup. We have Division 2 and Division 3 teams participating in this version of it. All with the amateur scene. Checking this out, all of this obviously with heroeslounge.gg. If you haven't checked them out, then you definitely should. And here come the Storm Talons now for Hit the Core. Next objective in the middle, by the way. Mirrodin has gone straight into the Grand Slam on level 20. Ancestral Wrath. And, well, let's see what we're going to get on the side of Lunar. Oh, Falstad, okay, flying in straight up towards the middle. They want to be quick here. We have Intensifying Toxin. They want to steal the camp away. Seems like nobody has really sniffed that out yet. Yeah, at least they're not making a move for it. With level 20 against them, they're just not willing to engage into that fight. 59 stacks for Falstad. 16 short from completing the quest completely. And then picking up the stun and also the increased numbers. We currently have the next objective up, and even with 20, I think the red team is not going to go for this. They're definitely too far away to instantly move in from the looks of it, or are they? They're already 20 behind, but they might still be willing to attempt it, I suppose. But yep, 20 stacks behind, pretty significant. Leo gets a few more for the team. They're starting to engage here. Leo gets stunned out once, twice. Gets the Ancestral right away. Not sure if I would have used it there. Zagara, though, in the corner. If they can take Zagara out, that would be the win right there. She's been the biggest problem for them throughout the entire game. Leo goes down. Mirrodin gets away. And they get the Punisher. So Leorki just buys some time with his death. Slows them down. And they get the objective as a result. Absolutely worth it. Now just a question of how far they can push it with the rest of the team here. Because Lunara is not there. Lunara is at the bottom of the map right now. So once again, the problem where they instantly lose Mirrodin. This is just this theme here. They are in a great spot, they win an objective, and then they just can't really do anything with it. The only fort that has fallen on the red team side is the one that was taken out by Leoric. And now they have an 18-minute Punisher. And they weren't even able to even damage the fort in the middle. The minion wave has to do that right now. So the minion wave is going to damage the fort a little bit. Down at the bottom of the map, the red team is now in position to grab themselves a few more camps. But it just always feels that if the red team gets any kind of momentum, gets an objective, wins a team fight, that they're able to do something structurally on the map itself, whereas Hit the Core just seems to fail to be able to capitalize on any victory that they get in this game. They had a leading experience for a long time, but the question is, of course, what can they do with those leads? When they had level 20, they dominated the map and did a good job stealing a few of the camps away, taking the objective too, but then after that, once more, nothing to be done. They were at a numbers disadvantage, moving into the middle, and that's exactly what shut them down at the end of the day. Muradin gets caught, gets killed, and then they have to retreat. So now at the top, blue team is once again suffering some structural losses as we have their opponents move in for the next fort. And they might be... No, they're in time for a defense. This is also where we have the next objective, by the way. So this is a quite important structure that they have to defend. If they lose this one, they have no fountain on the lane. And that's the one advantage that they currently have over the Parkas. Leoric, okay. Sees immediately that it's a bit of a trap meant for him. And moves away. Another little party push there for just a second. But it seems that everybody is more or less going to wait for the next objective to spawn and not really force a fight before that. Yeah, it's going to be interesting how much damage Falter is going to be able to contribute. He's definitely been starting to catch up very heavily after the first quest reward was hit. Even more so after number 2. But we hadn't that many team fights since then. Zagara and Mephisto are fighting this constant battle who is the top damage dealer for the red team. They're both doing really, really well, sitting above 7,000. So, pretty impactful there. 12 kills to 8 now. Once again, Diablo charging forward, and Leorki is dead. Leoric gone, and Sparkman is just a little ghost floating around Grand Division. Now, he will be back, to be fair. But, obviously, this is still a little bit annoying. If you lose anyone, though, you want it to be Leoric. Much, much easier to get him back into the fight. Also, the death timer reduction here comes into play very nicely. They lose a camp as a result that they can easily take. But as long as the top fort is being defended, they're going to be fine here. And that's something that apparently the red team still is thinking about pushing for. So they are unleashing once, but they won't be able to do much more than the ability rotation that they've just now unloaded. So with Leo back, this is the moment where we're going to see what Parkas and Rux can do. They've been doing fairly okay throughout the game in these situations. Can the blue team finally capitalize on an advantage that they have, or not? Business still without Avatar. He went into Haymaker. And thus far, Haymaker, yes, contributed a bit, but wasn't the game-changing tool that they possibly hoped for. So Muradin is now jumping into the back line. Gust already being used. Diablo in the midst of the back line of the blue team. Muradin gets more than Diablo plus Mephisto. The two evils take down Rhaegar. We get another stun over here on the right as Isnes is once again focused down. Muradin is gone. Diablo still alive. And with Lunara dropped, this is looking extremely grim for Hit the Core. They're losing too much here. They're not able to get any of these kills. And specifically, Diablo and Mephisto charging into the blue team's backline have just absolutely demolished them here. So this is going to be an objective easily for the Parkas on Drugs. And this might be... I'm not sure if this is going to be lights out. There's a lot of infrastructure to go through at the top lane. But this is still going to hurt quite a bit. By now we have 89,000 damage on Zagara, so she's overtaken Mephisto once more. With Muradin and Falster jumping into the backline, there was a lot of fighting going on there too on the red team side. They're taking the fort out before the Punisher is even there. And they're getting very, very aggressive down here. Rhaegar will be back in a couple of seconds, but Lunara, she's down for another 15, and that's a huge problem. Sidewall already opened up, so they're not even taking a lot of damage on the Punisher before the entire push hits the keep itself. And this is bad news. This keep at a minimum is gone. And they might lose more, depending on how the fight now goes. This could be the end of the game for sure. 16 kills to 8. The fort at the top side gets crushed within seconds. And now the march for the core itself. And they definitely look like they mean business. They're going to try this. They're going to see how much damage they can do. 50 HP left on the Punisher. And here comes the Alpacas. The Parkas are on the move, and they're getting damage in against Leoric once more. Falstad is already dead. They're getting Lunara too. The core has lost its shield, and this is gonna be game. Game number 1 goes to the Parkas on drugs as they are destroying Hit the Core. The blue team just not with enough zest here when it came to building up on the advantages that they had for a long period of time. They just never capitalized on those edges and were only able to take a single fort out, which in the end proved to not be enough. GG and well played.
We're going to head in game number 2 in a second. Guys, if you enjoy the content, if you like the coverage here, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. It really helps to spread the videos to people that were interested in Heroes of the Storm in the past and might rejoin the game. So spread the love a little bit, help to promote the games here, like and subscribe, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the series. So the Parkas are in the lead, the red team with the victory on Infernal Shrines as we are heading into map number 2 of the best of 3 series. On the left side, in blue, we got Hit the Core with Wookie on Liming, Kara on Tychus this time. We got Sparkman on Ahoga, Silver Jojo on Tyrande, and Isnes with Varian. Good thing about Varian is you cannot pick Playmaker on him. Over on the right side, we got Ya on Garrosh, Bam on Maiev. We get Dehaka, played by Migo, King Solomon on Whitemane, and Alpaca on Kel'Thas. So, time to try and bring the series back, hit the core, and force game number 3. At least from the perspective of the blue team. Liming is heading straight into Force Armor on level 1, so we could actually see a full range build from her. Idea for them obviously is to use Taunt and then the follow-up from Tyrande with Stun and Hunter's Mark to snipe targets after level 4. Now there is a fair amount of CC on the side of the Parkas too, so they really need to be careful with how they play this one out. Because they can easily get trapped by Garrosh, Maiev, Kel'Thas, Gravity Labs, and then even a follow-up from Dehaka potentially if he deems to join the rest of the team. And also, incidentally, Hit the Core does not have a global, so Dehaka is the only global in the game and can therefore have a huge advantage later. Nice steal on the camp, so that's definitely a good start for the Parkas. They're able to move over towards the Siege Giants and grab them quickly. So, Siege Giants already taken, those are quickly grabbed, and of course, on the right side, we're going to see the Parkas try and take their own as the next step. But that was ooh, Dehaka soloed. What is happening with these solo kills? Sparkman is absolutely dominating that lane. Migo has 0 chances against Sparkman. This is the one thing that we definitely learned here. Sparkman has already gotten himself a solo kill against him in game number 1 at the top lane when he was Leo facing off against Blaze. Now he's Hogger going up against Dehaka, gets another solo kill. And he's definitely been one of the backbones for the team here, and it just shows once again. So huge effort here from him, and a nice lead for the blue team for just a moment. It forced Maiev to the top. Dehaka will of course eventually take over again, but there's still some action happening at the bottom of the map for the Parkas, and honestly, Hit the Core needed to react a little bit faster here. They were apparently still busy on their own camp, and now they lost a tower and half a gate as a result, so not really all that great. We got 1 single kill in the game so far, but the objective is up, and the teams are starting to make their play for the shrines. We're looking at Dehaka, we got the Lurker Strain right now. We have of course Taunt for Varian, as you would expect. And they are in possession of 2... Oh, they're gonna get a kill here, aren't they? No way. Ya gets away even while getting owled. So they're walking away and nobody dies. The red team takes over one of the shrines at the top. But Migo is in a lot of trouble here because Sparkman is getting a massive amount of value here. Not only against the structures, but also will very easily retake the top side shrine in just a moment. But one of the towers is already down, a little bit more damage done. Now starting to retake this, and for Dehaka, this is not going to be easy. He's definitely losing ground there. And that means that the Parkas now have actually control of 2 of the thingies, the shrines. So, yeah. For the red team, this is so far pretty decent. Didn't get a kill yet, but just speaking macro game,
this is not too bad. They seem to be the ones currently dictating the way the game's getting played. The one thing that Hit the Core really needs to do is leverage the strength of their composition a bit, which means they need to look for these combos with Varian and Toranda. And they might have one here. Taunt is in, but the stun is not hitting, and instead Garrosh is just simply coming in, and they're getting a kill on Toranda. Getting an easy one right there, then the lick on Varian, he's getting swarmed completely, and is not gonna be able to escape. Gets pushed around once more, that's a double kill all of a sudden for the Parkas. Dehaka coming in, and yeah, this is just a problem. Dehaka coming in, won them that fight very, very easily. Hogga has retaken control at the top, of course, and had a lot of wiggle room there. But that just means that with now a lead in kills and a map presence that is just much stronger, the Parkas can get structural damage in down at the bottom of the map. Would have loved them to yeah, maybe try and get the Inspire buff going there, maybe push a little bit for that wall. But they can still take the next set of Siege Giants, and topside, that's where Dehaka is now up against Hogga again. And this is probably the one spot where Migo really doesn't want to be, not after now losing out twice against his opponent. Misses the drag in this case. Level 7 not taken from Li Ming, by the way, so I talked earlier about how this could be a full-on range build. And it is! They're going actually full AWP here. Well, not full AWP, Tirana down again, but they're going straight for Zay's Vengeance. Haven't seen that in a hot minute. Typically, if we're seeing any kind of range build, it usually centers more around the arcane missiles than the magic missiles than anything else. But Force Armor has been picked on level 1, nothing then on 7, and now we're getting, yep, then a full-on AWP style. So, alright, let's see how this is going to work out for them. On 7, in addition to that, we get the Victory Rush, and we have the grenade build continued for Tychus. Topside fight is sparking up here, and Sparkman is soon going to face off against 2, which he's not going to be too happy about, and this is very likely going to be the end of Hogga. Yeah, trying to get away, and gets murdered. Was trying to poke to the end, but yeah, no chance there. So we got 4 kills to 1 now. Meaning also, oh, there's finally the combo, and is it the kill? Nope, apparently not. Garrosh just unkillable somehow. Garrosh is just an absolute monster. The last time that they were trying to go for him, he simply walked into them and then threw to Randa. Now they got the early level 10, which means we're now getting Decimate, for example. So, yeah, Decimate is in. We're getting instantly the attack against Tychus, who gets saved for a second, and then dies before the Pyroblast can hit. Yeah, so, Pyro value, 0. At least for now. But level 10 abilities are there, and therefore they can now aggressively push, which they do. It's half a level until Hit the Core has their own heroic abilities. But we're basically seeing again what we already saw in game number 1. That the Parkas are, when they are ahead, pushing to try and advance a little bit further. To get structural advantages, to get closer on the objective. So, yeah, they're doing a lot in that regard. Even with their timers being as low as they are currently. Nobody has gotten an objective yet, though. But Sparkman at the top is soon going to be up against 2 again. And is once more trying to pong out, and is this time able to escape. Li Ming going into this integrate. So, yeah, is not trying for Wave of Force plays or anything of the sorts, but just simply disintegrate to burn some minions down. Try and take some heroes apart too. Nice interrupt on Garrosh, I like it. Grenade attempt by Kara a second later. This time Garrosh walked a little bit farther away, but the heals are coming, and Garrosh decides that it's actually time to stay for him. We got Odin now. Odin is ready, so that's one tool that they could use. Hogga consistently attacked by 2 at the top, but outside of the initial kill, Sparkman has been able to survive through all of those ganks so far. Maiev moving to the top obviously applies a lot of pressure to Hogga, and it's a little bit annoying for the red team that it's necessary in the first place. But they're also pushing on 2 lanes most of the time with the middle and the top. So that makes this a lot more aggressive on structures on both lanes for the Parkas. And they have extended the lead in experience pretty significantly. We're currently looking at a 1 level advantage for them. And a lot of that is also in minion experience in general. Nobody has taken a single objective yet, though. We're now 8 minutes into the game, and we haven't seen a Dragonite yet. Once again, the taunt, and this time they burn him down. Bye-bye, Garrosh. Dehaka comes in, Pyroblast! And yeah, nearly value. They are gonna get that kill. Yes, they are. So they take down Tychus. The Dragonite gets locked in by the blue team though. Lock in the Dragonite and let's see what actually they are able to pull off with this one. The Dragonite in the middle gonna try and do as much as possible for them, but then at the end of the day we currently have only 4 heroes on the map for hit the core as well, so they gotta be careful with this. DK moving down to the bottom of the map, trying I suppose to get at least some damage in on the fort here, but the red team is matching that rotation with ease and is instantly there. They now have a talent advantage too with level 13. Khaldor's actually going into Fission Bomb here for the radius increase on his living bombs. And the DK is a little bit low, but still gets a nice punt through against Garrosh, who's trying to get away here and might be able to, but he gets followed hard. And here comes the ult from Liming, but they're starting again to go for the big team fight with a drag from the Haka hitting Varian this time. They're still trying to go for Isness. Isolation even connecting with him and the Haka with a lot of body blocking, but they're just there. They are closing the gap with Maiev. Start to follow up and they go for Tyrande as a second kill. 2 down, Varian and Tyrande both obliterated, and that's kill number 7 and kill number 8 now for the red team. So job well done. Top side, that's where we're now having still Sparkman up against Migo. But there is now a lot of momentum on the side of the Parkas, and they also have their lead in experience significantly extended. That talent advantage that they had in the last battle just helped that even more. 23,000 damage for Maiev puts her into the top number seed for the red team. But we still have a bit more damage on Hogga, who's at 25,000. Tychus is also not really looking too bad. But looking at the kill difference currently, you can tell that for hit the core, this isn't quite working. And the problem that I still have with this is that the entire composition is really centered around the idea that they are the ones moving in on lanes and get those kills, and they're just not. There's finally another one of those. Finally, Whitemane gets absolutely murdered. The ragdoll gets destroyed as it should, but this is something that we need to see throughout the entire game, not only 13 levels in. So at the 10-minute mark, this is just not enough. They need to do this a lot sooner than that. They have their taunt, they have the burst damage from Liming, grenades from Tychus, and of course follow-up stuns from Tyrande, and now from Hogga as well. And this needs to just be way crisper. And if they fail to do that, then that's simply a problem. So they gotta do something to just lock these kills in if they play a composition like this. The entire team lineup is designed to do one thing, and that is to kill individual targets that you pick off on the lane. Liming even going into Glasscan, I mean, that was kind of telegraphed. We talked about the range build a bit earlier. So she's not trying to get close with Calamity, misses out on some damage with it and tries to make up for it by helping to blow targets out of the water. But it's been a very limited success rate so far. Once again, they might even be able to get caught. Yeah, Maiev tethering, Varian back in. He's exposed. Isness. They're trying not only for Varian, but they go straight in for Tyrande again. And then Haymaker value. Nice. Against Tychus as he goes down. I'm, by the way, absolutely convinced that Tyrande and Varian have an affair. 100%. I mean, they're always dying together here, so they're just like Romeo and Juliet of the Nexus at this point in time, at least when we're talking about this game. And it kind of fits a little bit as well, so yeah, I totally see it. So, Varian, Tyrande, the two of them just dying in pairs over and over and over again. Top side, Lick misses. Sparkman, he's not going to be too happy about what's happening down at the bottom of the map. Can't really influence that. But now that the bottom fort has been destroyed, that's really where things are going to get interesting regarding the rest of the map. First of all, the top lane is now becoming more of a focus, and it should also get a little bit easier for the Parkas to get themselves another objective. Down to the bottom of the map, yeah, Silver Jojo slowly doing their thing as they're hoping to get themselves a shrine. Dragonite has not been taken. You had Hogga in the middle of the map. I've been absolutely ready to interrupt this even if ever there was an attempt by the Parkas to claim that. Wasn't the case at this point in time. 40 stacks for Khaldor, by the way, on his level 1. So it's actually pretty decent. 12 minutes in. Good stacks for him. Nice shield that he can operate with. Once again, they get the hit with Garrosh. Trying for Varian. The choke point value, especially from Duranda, pretty big. But now we come in with the first kill. And it is again, look at them. They're always dying together. There's definitely something going on. I'm suspicious. This is not a coincidence. Duranda and Varian, they're always dying together here. I mean, they're always being caught as a duo. So, yeah, there's definitely something going on. I would hire a private detective or something. There's going to be some juicy pictures. 3 kills to 13. We got a 2.5 level lead now in favor of the red team. And right now, I gotta be honest, if the Hit the Core doesn't step it up and gets themselves a few more kills, then the Parkers on Drugs are just lined up to participate in the tournament bracket and move on to the next round of the event. So there is another Dragon Knight already in the making. Li Ming is trying to get control at the bottom of the map, is going to get that in time. Alpaca is a little bit too late. But the red team is still pushing. What Hit the Core needs is the same as I talked about earlier. They need to leverage their strength of the composition and get kills quickly. And it's very difficult for them right now. Whitemane is healing a lot of this stuff out too. Once again, Garrosh trying to not only get control but also buy them some time at the bottom of the map. It kind of backfired a bit. But top side, Hogga gets caught. This time they used 4 to take him down. So he was maybe prepared for 2, but definitely not for 4. And they're falling farther and farther behind. But now we have a 2.5 level gap between the two teams. The Parkers are already moving in for level 20. And they are just miles ahead right now. Just absolutely. 35,000 damage for IF. Tigers is trying to go to the top lane, I guess. But nope, they're going to get the Dragon Knight. One interrupt is not going to be enough. And this is the only one that they had available. So this is DK number... I believe this is number 1 for them, right? I think it's the first Dragon Knight for them, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so already a little bit of a punt against Tychus. Fort in the middle is obviously going to get murdered. No chance here. And then just the question whether they even bother with the top, and they don't, or just move down to the bottom of the map and try and break that wall and aim for that keep. They've done really well so far. Level 20 talents in the mix as well. So with that, we're now having Deadly Calm in play. We get Vengeance, Shadow Orb, we got Contagion, Judgment Day, and the Flamethrower. And that's obviously pretty neat for Khaldor in particular. He has a lot of range to work with right now. They're starting to take some of the hit points down on the keep too. Can still work around the Dragon's Breath cooldown a little bit here. But can probably run this entire 30 seconds down. Odin is trying to burn down the Dragon Knight as quickly as they can. But they still got value here. I mean, again, as long as you can just simply use the ability cooldown, you're totally fine. So they got some damage, but they also need to send somebody back because Sparkman has been completely ignoring what's happening on the bottom of the map. Instead been trying to get experience for the team at the top and destroy the wall on the keep. So technically, they've done also some nice structural damage here. The only... okay. For a second I was about to say, he might actually still not get away. He's trying to, but here comes Garrosh, and this is going to be the end of Hogga. Yeah, Hogga is gone. That is that. Oh my god. That was actually hilarious. So if you ever were wondering if Pyroblast is faster than a mounted hero, then now you have your answer right there. But yeah, that was... a nice attempt. Kudos to Hogga. A for effort, but didn't really work out for him. 15 kills to 3 now. And I gotta admit, that one was a bit funny. That one was actually quite hilarious. 37,000 for Maiev. We got 45,000 for Li Ming. So Li Ming is the top damage dealer in the game. Not that it really matters to them. But if you just look at the damage numbers and then look at the kills, you can clearly see that it's not always about who brings the biggest numbers in. There would be a lot of people that would immediately run around and say like, they don't have enough damage on the red team, and well, they kind of disagree with you pretty heavily. So right there we have the opportunity to get to level 20 within a few seconds, and that should... maybe that is something that is going to help the blue team a little bit to try and catch up here. But it's still going to be tough one way or another. We got Sizzling Attacks now. We got Mirror Ball. The level 16 talents already gave us some really nice boosts for the blue team. Maybe with level 20 they can fight these even fights. Should never give up, and a comeback here is for sure possible.
But it's going to be harder and harder with every single structure that gets taken out by the Pakas. And it's also going to get more difficult to get to the objective, for example. So while they take down the fort at the top, we now have one eliminated at the bottom of the map. The blue team not trying to defend and instead just going for counter damage. But now they really should try and get back. And a few of them are already hearthing. Li Ming running, God knows why. They destroyed basically the wall at the top. Will be in a second, and now we have the objective up, so it's shrine time again. But they realize that they need to go back quickly or they're going to lose a keep too. So the Haka is already down at the bottom of the map. They're starting to get full control. Blue team will have to fight in the middle. And Garrosh tries to get the channel. Can't. Also, Disc been used there just a second before. Now that we have them in the middle, here comes the move for Varian once again. Gotta be careful here. Gravity Labs connected first, then the tether. Now they're coming in with Hogger, Shockwave, Sparkman leading the charge for the blue team as they're trying to turn the game around. They're trying what they can to get a kill, but Sparkman himself is low, and there's another Pyro, and it's value time, baby. The Pyroblast takes down Hogger, and this might be the beginning of the end. They're coming in for Tyrande, drop her with a really nice flip once again from Garrosh, lifting from the knees. He has absolutely zero problems. Tyrande doesn't weigh a lot anyways. Tychus is also down, killed by Khaldor, and up at the top they have Varian isolated too. Isnes gets bounced around, and that is the end of Varian, and very likely the end of Hit the Core for this tournament. We're 19 minutes into the game, so the death timers are already pretty significant at level 20 for the blue team. And this is at a minimum going to cost them a fort. It should honestly be more. Wookiees realizing that going for a Disintegrate here might not be the best move, considering that they're just hoping to get a hold of him. And with Maiev just sitting nearby, needs to retreat a little bit. And all of a sudden, yeah, this is just the end of game number 2. This is going to be a 2-0 lead. The Pakas are going to take the series. Very nice performance by them. Maiev hasn't died a single time. Neither did Khaldor. Tyrande, too vulnerable. She died 6 times. Great effort at the front line. Also from, of course, Garrosh. And this is a victory for the Pakas on drugs as they move on to the double elimination phase of the tournament and eliminate Hit the Core. GG. Well played.